Hello, how's everybody doing? Welcome back to the channel today. First, I want to apologize for my absence. First, I was out of town, I had a couple things I had to do, and secondly, I did get pretty sick over the last few days. I'm feeling better now, have a little bit of a cough, but I'm going to try to not cough in this video. But I wanted to make this video. First, I'm going to give you my UFC Seattle picks, but mainly I want to talk about the fact that I am worried for Israel Adesanya. You know, a lot of people love to hate on Israel Adesanya. They say he's the most annoying fighter. He's this, he's that. Bro, straight up, I like Israel Adesanya. He's not as boring as you make him out to be. Yeah, he's a little cringe and he's got some weird proclivities. Who gives a fuck, dude? That's not why I like the guy. I like the guy because he's an entertaining fighter. He's good to have in the spotlight as a star. Whenever he's actually in the spotlight and he's winning, you cannot deny that the UFC is much better. You can't. So first, let's just look at him on the scale. He weighed in at 186. This is the most drained I've ever seen Adesanya. Of course, he's never been known to be large for the weight class. He even moved up to light heavyweight and only weighed in at, I believe, 200 pounds. Like 200 even. But, yeah, conversely, let's look at Joe Pyfer. Is he in there? Yeah, look at Joe Pyfer. Bro, Joe Pyfer is a fucking huge middleweight. He does not even look drained at all. Like, yeah, his face looks a little bit sunken in. Dude, look at Adesanya. That is really concerning. I mean, if he's super heavy outside of camp and he's weighing 220 and he's cutting 40 pounds, maybe even 30 pounds to make 185, what's that how is that gonna benefit you when you're facing a guy like this who hits as hard as he does? I'm quite scared for him. Of course, he has not won a fight since UFC 287. That was April of 2020. Was it 3 or 4? April of 2023, I believe. Yeah, 2023. It's been that long since this guy's been in the win column. Of course, he fought UFC 293, and he lost to Sean Strickland, got pretty much dominated, then took well over a year off and returned for UFC 305 against Dricus du Plessis, and looked solid. Like, honestly, didn't look good. I think he stole 2 rounds. I think he took rounds, I want to say it was 1 and 2. If I remember correctly, I think it was 1 and 2. Maybe I'm misremembering, but I did have him winning 2 rounds in that fight. And then he comes back next, UFC, that was in February of last year against Nasruddin Imavov. Looked okay, but then just got knocked out in the second round. I don't know, dude. So, okay, let's go to my official picks now. Excuse me. So hold on. Can I expand, please? You let me expand? There we go. Excuse me. So Joe Pyfer is enormous. He is shorter, but he is absolutely huge. Easily weighs 220. I think he's on record weighing 220 outside of camp. But he doesn't have the reach advantage. Of course, Adesanya has, I think, the 3rd longest reach in the entire UFC. But the thing is that Adesanya is just going to fight you at range. And that worries me against a guy like Joe Pyfer, because historically, in his last couple fights, he has not rushed the finish, and he's fought very patient and not super aggressive. He did, dog walk Kelvin Gastelum and did, drop him many times, but he never really rushed the finish, which I think was kind of to his detriment. Now, he doesn't have a bad gas tank, but my fear, actually for Joe Pyfer on this hand, is that he's too patient, because Adesanya can very much easily outpoint you at range. That's not even up for debate. We've seen him do that a plethora of times. But if Joe Pyfer is dedicated to just, you know what, I'm gonna stay super patient. I'm gonna throw the big overhand. Maybe I'll land it, maybe I won't, but I'm just gonna stay patient. Maybe I'll throw a leg kick here. I'm not really gonna throw a jab. I'm just gonna look for the big shot. If he's gonna fight like that, he's fucked. Like, there's no way you can win a 5-round decision. It's just impossible. We saw this guy get schooled in rounds 3, 4, and 5 against Jack Hermanson. What do you think Israel Adesanya can do? A fear for Israel Adesanya, on the other hand, is that he doesn't fight that way. Is that Joe Pyfer does not fight that way. And he's going to stalk you down, and he's going to not really worry about what you're throwing back at him, because Adesanya historically does not have great power. Yeah, sure, he knocked out Paulo Costa, and he knocked out Alex Pereira at 185. That's a little bit of a different story. I'm not taking anything away from him, because that's his best win of his career, and that's one of the best wins in UFC history. But Israel Adesanya is not known to just carry big power in his hands. He's going to be super dynamic. He's going to mix it up really well. He's going to throw a lot of kicks. He's going to kick you high. He's going to kick you low. You know what I mean? But if Joe Pyfer is not really worried about it and he's just walking you down, because he is pretty heavy on that front leg and he is very aggressive when he wants to be. But so if he wants to be aggressive, I mean, bro, there's no way that Joe Pyfer does not land a shot, even through the guard, that hurts Adesanya. I can so easily see Joe Pyfer just, maybe checking a couple leg kicks, moving forward, kind of having some nice head, and then boom, just throwing a big overhand. Maybe it's through the guard, maybe it doesn't land, then maybe he digs at the body, goes off. I'm telling you, there's going to be a time that Joe Pyfer lands the big shot, and when have we really seen a time outside of the Gastelum fight, which was followed by the worst fight IQ ever? When was the last time we saw Israel Adesanya get hurt by a punch and then survive? It really doesn't happen that much. Alex Pereira did it to him, got him out of there. Nasruddin Imavov did it to him, got him out of there. Dricus du Plessis did it to him, and then took him down and submitted him right afterwards. We don't see Israel Adesanya just, eat a big shot and then survive. We did see it against Strickland, but that was at the end of the round, so there is a caveat to that. But also, Strickland doesn't hit hard. He just hit him with the perfect shot. He doesn't hit hard at all. But again, we've never really seen him just survive against a big puncher like that. So that really does concern me. And I really want to pick out Adesanya because I truly do believe he is more skilled. And he, of course, is 20 times more experienced. But I think that experience it gets to a point where there is so much fight footage for you out there that I think Joe Pyfer is going to be okay. I think that he is going to win this fight. I really do. And I didn't want to pick him to win this fight. I really didn't. Even though I love Joe Pyfer, he's the fucking guy. But I wanted to see Israel Adesanya get this last win and hopefully call it a career. I don't want to see him fight Joe Pyfer because I said when this got announced, there is literally no gain for this. Okay, if you beat Joe Pyfer, okay, nice, dude. You beat Joe Pyfer, whose best win is Kelvin Gastelum, a guy who you've already beaten. Or maybe Abus Magomedov is his best win because that was no one really picked him by submission there. And if you lose to Joe Pyfer, well, what the fuck? That's it. You're done. Not that Joe Pyfer is a bad fighter, but he's very inexperienced compared to you. And he's not a former champion who you could say, oh, well, you know what? He lost to this guy, but he was a former champion. You can't really say that with Joe Pyfer. So I was going to lean towards Adesanya. I don't think he gets it done here. I really don't. Who was next? Alexa Grasso. Bro, she just hasn't looked good in her last fight. I'm picking Macy Barber. I know there's been a lot of, inactivity from Macy Barber. Her last fight, what was the date? Wait, am I thinking of the wrong person? Never mind. Okay, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, there has been a decent amount of inactivity. Yeah, she did just fight Karina Silva. It looked decent in that fight. Okay, or Natalia Silva. It looked decent in that fight. But just didn't really jump off the page to me. But also, okay, hello, please? Dude. Alexa Grasso did get fucking schooled in her last two fights, and really has not looked like her former self, has not looked like the former Alexa Grasso that, took down Valentina Shevchenko and submitted her on UFC 285. I'm going Macy Barber here by decision. I mean, I think Alexa Grasso could get a nice little 30-27 here, but at the end of the day, I don't know, dude. I just haven't really been impressed with her. And Macy Barber's return fight, normally what happens with fighters when they're super inactive is their first fight back, there's going to be some ring rust, and they'll look not amazing, but in their next fight, they always come forward and look good. I can give you 1,000 fucking examples. What I just said there, I've said probably 20 times in these videos when I've done fight predictions or when I made a TikTok about something, and I always get this right. So I firmly believe Macy Barber just needed that one win back, that one fight back, and it was actually a win over good competition too. But she's going to look like her old self. She historically has looked very aggressive too. So I'm going to pick Macy Barber here by 29-28 decision, winning rounds 1 and 2. Michael Chiesa fighting the short notice Nico Price. I mean, why would you ever pick Nico Price to win this, let alone the fact that he just got knocked out pretty badly very recently? Or not knocked out, but got his ass beat brutally against Danilo Donchenko. Am I remembering correctly? That'd be really embarrassing if I was not. Oh, I'm thinking of fucking Alex Morono. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes. Veretennikov. He fucking hit him with like a 6-punch combination. He kneed him to the body, hit him with a big elbow. Yeah, I remember this. This is very recent. Yeah, I don't know why he's coming back so recently. I mean, it's not like Michael Chiesa has any... Bro, please. It's not like Michael Chiesa has any danger factor in his hands. I mean, I'm going to pick Michael Chiesa by probably 30-27 here. He has the grappling advantage. Nico Price is just bad everywhere. He got destroyed by Jacoby Smith. He got destroyed by Nikolai Veretennikov. I mean, a month ago, if that. like 5 weeks ago. I don't even know how he's medically cleared to return. I'm going to pick Michael Chiesa here by 30-27. I could see submission here, but I'm going to go Michael Chiesa. I believe this is his last fight as well. I think he said that this is his last fight, which I would say makes a lot of sense. I don't really know why you're continuously fighting. You don't have anything to prove. You're very far from a title shot, even though he's on a nice little win streak. I want to say he's on a 3-fight win streak right now. Correct? 3-fight win streak. Tony Ferguson, I mean, the corpse of Tony Ferguson. He submitted Max Griffin, and then he beat Court McGee in one of the most underwhelming and just uneventful fights probably in UFC history. This was UFC Atlanta. Yeah, this fight fucking sucked. You did not miss a single thing if you did not watch this fight. I'm picking Michael Chiesa I was picking by submission. Dude, I'm gonna freak out. What the fuck? Michael Chiesa by decision. Julian Erosa versus Larion Douglas. The odds for this fight do kind of concern me. I was feeling an upset by Julian Erosa. I think I'm going to take my pick back. Larion Douglas is ridiculously aggressive, extremely powerful. Julian Erosa is very durable, extremely durable, matter of fact, but not against guys who are big power punchers. I think Larion Douglas is going to find the big shot here. Julian Erosa just is very aggressive and very high paced, but he's very old and he has a ton of miles on the clock and taking a lot of damage. I think Larion Douglas can get this done here. But if Julian Erosa wins this fight, I'm going to lose my mind because I was like telling people in group chats, I was leaving comments, oh, I don't know, I think there's a Julian Erosa upset, and now I'm changing my pick like a bitch. But I'm going to Larion Douglas by round 2 TKO. Mansour Abdul Malik versus Yusri Belgari. Why would this fight ever be made? Why would you put two very good and promising contenders against each other? Makes no sense. Yusri Belgari is coming off of a win against Azamat Bakoev. Azamat Bakoev really could not get Yusri Belgari to the ground. When was this fight? This was, I want to say, like September? October of last year, that's right. Yeah, Azamat Bakoev really struggled in this fight. And Mansour Abdul Malik's way to win this fight, I believe, would be using the grappling here. I don't know. I really want to pick Yusri Belgari here. I don't know what the odds are. I'm very curious, actually, now. I'll check. Actually, no, I'll check later. But I want to lean towards Yusri Belgari. He's just a massive middleweight, very tall, very long, very lanky, knows how to use his range very well. Mansour Abdul Malik, he is a very good fighter. I'm a big fan of this guy. He did, objectively struggle with Cody Brundage, a guy who is just very bad. I know there was a really weird controversy, like he got the finish, but then he got it taken away because of that. But it was a strange fight for sure. Every Cody Brundage fight is weird. I kind of want to pick Yusri Belgari here. I don't know. I think Mansour Abdul Malik is going to have trouble getting into the inside and closing distance because Yusri Belgari is so experienced. He's a very experienced kickboxer and just showed levels against Azamat Bakoev, a guy who can grapple really well. So I'm going to pick Yusri Belgari by decision. I'm rooting for Mansour Abdul Malik, and I hope I get my pick wrong because I am just a big fan of Mansour Abdul Malik. He's just a cool motherfucker. I like seeing this guy win. I want to see this guy be a good prospect because I think he has, what's the word? Fuck. I think he has true potential to be a good prospect, but I think this is just a weird test that they're giving him, and I don't know why the UFC would make this fight. It kind of reminds me of Felipe Lima versus Peyton Talbot. Terrence McKinney versus Kyle Nelson. I'm going to go Terrence McKinney by round 1 TKO. Terrence McKinney is 17-8, I think. He has 16 first-round finishes. You know, I could just be the guy that looks at the numbers and says, well, as a result of him doing this, I think he's going to do this. I'm picking Terrence McKinney by round 1 TKO. Kyle Nelson is good. I think he's very overhated. I think people make him out to be way worse than he really is. I think he's a pretty solid fighter. I mean, we saw him against Matt Frevola basically destroy him, TKO him and beat him by decision in his last fight. But yeah, I'm going to pick Terrence McKinney. Kyle Nelson is a little bit shinny. Moving up to lightweight, I'm not really sure why he did it. I feel like he was fine at featherweight. But Terrence McKinney, I would be shocked to to see him not land the big shot early on like he does against basically everybody. He either lands the big shot or he gets obliterated. I don't think Kyle Nelson is going to finish Terrence McKinney. Of course, it's very possible because McKinney just gets finished all of the time. But I think Terrence McKinney is going to land a big shot here and get him out of there. Super aggressive early on, really hard to game plan with. Ignacio Bahamondes versus Tofik Musayev. I think this is a very easy Ignacio Bahamondes win by decision. This is a short notice fight. Tofik Musayev did just lose to Miktabek Oralbay, got submitted by Miktabek Oralbay, if I remember correctly. That was the Baku card, right? The Baku card? Yes, that was a Baku card. Yeah, I'm not really sure why Tofik Musayev accepted this fight, because he was fighting a UFC debutant, but now he's fighting Ignacio Bahamondes, a guy who's one fight away from being ranked. He was number 15 at one point, a guy who's very good, only loses to, very good competition like Rafael Fiziev and Ludovic Klein. But Ignacio Bahamondes, I think, is just way too big, way too long. I can honestly see a submission here. I can see like a triangle choke. I can see maybe an armbar. But I'm going to pick Ignacio Bahamondes by 30-27. Tofik Musayev is good, really gritty, but I think he's just inferior everywhere to Ignacio Bahamondes. And he is way smaller. I want to see he's 5'8 versus 6'3 Ignacio Bahamondes. 5'8, right? 5'9 with a massive reach disadvantage and a noticeable leg reach disadvantage. Every favor is leaning towards Ignacio Bahamondes. Chase Hooper versus Lance Gibson. I'm picking Chase Hooper by submission. Lance Gibson is just not really that good. Like, literally did nothing against Bobby Green. Literally did nothing. Chase Hooper, I've always been a big believer in him. I always thought that he was going to be a guy that could make a push for the rankings. But then, he lost to Alexander Hernandez, and that kind of was like, fuck, dude. Like, I really was telling so many people that this is going to be the guy who was in the top 10, top 15 in a couple years. Moving up to lightweight, I think did wonders for him. He's beat really experienced guys like Jim Miller. He has destroyed guys like Slava Claus. And Lance Gibson poses no threat to Chase Hooper whatsoever. Not a better grappler, not better on the feet. What can Lance Gibson do? What's he going to do to win this fight? Is he going to take him down and submit Chase Hooper? Of course not. Is he going to take him down and just get to dominant positions and steal rounds via control time? No. Is he going to outpoint him on the feet? No, because Chase Hooper is a very good striker, really good kickboxer as well. Picking Chase Hooper by round 2 submission. Marcin Tybura. I'm going to pick Marcin Tybura. Consequently, like a lot of people, inversely, a lot of people are picking Tyrell Fortune. I know Marcin Tybura is not that great. Okay, dude, I know he lost to Ante Dalia. That's not really a bad loss. I don't really get why that's the worst thing in the world, you losing to Ante Dalia. Guy is actually pretty good. But I'm picking Marcin Tybura by decision here. I do think he's a skilled fighter. I truly do believe that he is a very skilled fighter. I don't really know where this narrative is coming from, that he's just going to get destroyed by Tyrell Fortune. Tyrell Fortune is not really that good. I don't know. Like, maybe that's just me. I don't think that Tyrell Fortune is that good. I'm picking Marcin Tybura by decision. We've seen him have a lot of impressive fights. Like what he did against Jonata Deniz. I know maybe in hindsight that didn't look as good. But dude, let's look at his last fights. He did not rob Mick Parkin. That was a good win against Mick Parkin. Outboxed Mick Parkin over 3 rounds. Lost to Ante Dalia. I want to say, maybe I'm just kind of, I'm trying to find ways to justify my pick. I feel like he went into this fight injured. Maybe that's just me. The Sergey Spivak fight, yeah, dude, not that good. But again, Sergey Spivak is also a really good heavyweight. People hate on him. Bro, he's a good heavyweight. I want to say he arm triangled Taito Ivasa. And of course he lost to Tom Aspinall, because of course you would. I'm really picking Marcin Tybura. He's got way better experience. He's really well-rounded. I don't think Tyrell Fortune is that good. Let's see. Casey O'Neill versus Gabriela Fernandez. I want to say this is like a pick'em fight. Like I don't even know how I'm going to pick this fight. I might lean towards Casey O'Neill because I want to say she's younger. She's 2 years younger, right? Do they not show age? Do they really not show age? One of the most important things, really? I'm pretty sure that Casey O'Neill is 2 years younger. She's 34, right? Or 32? She's 28. Okay, she's 28. Gabriela Fernandez is a little older. 32, yeah. She's 4 years younger. She's got a big reach advantage. I think she's more aggressive. I think she's more well-rounded. I've never been that impressed by Gabriela Fernandez. I mean, like, she's kind of kick-heavy. She's decent. Both women are very decent. But I think Casey O'Neill is going to get this done by decision. I just think she's better just a little bit. I don't know, dude. This is a complete pick-em. Like, there's no way that I can definitively say, oh, you know what? It's going to be Casey O'Neill because of this and that. Because this is such an equally match. This is such an equal matchup in terms of skill. But I'm going to go Casey O'Neill. Navajo Sterling versus Bruno Lopez. Bruno Lopez sucks. Straight up. Not a good fighter. Navajo Sterling, I think, is overrated. He did have the best win of his career in his last fight. But he's got so many boring fucking fights, dude. Like, he has so many just average fights. Like, his fight on UFC 315, and his opponent is escaping me, but I know it was on UFC 315. Who is it against? Can we do a live fact check here? UFC 315, May 10th. Ivan Urslan, yeah. Just looked fucking okay. Like, it was just so boring. A very boring point fight. Tuco Tacos, boring fight. That's a guy that you should finish. His fight against Rodolfo Bellato actually was very good. He looked much more aggressive. Rodolfo Bellato really brought the fight to him, which is why I believe he fought that way. But still looked really good and looked much better in this fight than he has in his last two. Kind of is slowly erasing the boring point fighter style. But Bruno Lopez poses no threat to him at all. Lost his last fight badly. I'm going to pick Navajo Sterling by finish. I think he's going to find a finish here. I think he's going to get a round 3 TKO. He's got big power in his hands. Really good fighter at range. Mixes it in, throws a lot of kicks. He's got some decent power, but he just doesn't really let his hands go. But I think Bruno Lopez has nothing to offer Navajo Sterling. I think Navajo Sterling is going to let his hands go and find a finish late in round 3. Ricky Simone versus Adrian Yanez. I think Ricky Simone is going to take him down and win a decision. Neither guy is really that great at this stage of their career. Of course, Adrian Yanez was touted as somebody who is supposed to be a guy who is a top 10, top 15 bantamweight, but you know, he got knocked out by Rob Font and then took a ton of time off. And then he came back and fought Vinicius Salvador, beat him. But yeah, this guy just never fights. He's always injured. He's always got something going on. He doesn't really look in as good a shape as he did normally, before, rather. I'm going to pick Ricky Simone via using his wrestling. I mean, Adrian Yanez is a very good boxer, but I think he can get taken down pretty easily. I'm going to pick Ricky Simone here by unanimous decision. Last time he was in Seattle, you know, hometown guy, he knocked out Javid Basharat. Of course, this is back in his hometown again, home state of Washington, rather. I think he's going to get a 29-28 decision over Adrian Yanez. Alexia Tainara versus Bruna Brazil, not hard at all. Alexia Tainara by submission. Bruna Brazil is not good. That is the entire card. I'm very much looking forward to this. Again, I do apologize for my absence. I will be back with frequent uploads. I do apologize about that, but I had a couple things I had to do, and then I got sick right afterwards. So those are my picks for UC Seattle. Put in the comments what your picks are. Go to 3punchconvo.com. Use my code VinceMMA for a first free month. That is Vince MMA, no numbers, no nothing, no uppercase, no lowercase, just Vince MMA for a first free month. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok at VinceMMA1. And thank you guys very, very much for watching.